Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to check a quite big kit from Special Hobby. It comes in 1/32 scale. We have here a Fiat G.50B Bicomando, so it's a two-seater obviously, and kit number is SH32083. This is the final shape of this kit, so you'll get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video. Nothing will change, and if you, for example, order it right now from the Special Hobby website, you will get exactly the same things as what I will show in this video review. So this model might be interesting for all fans of the Italian aviation. In 1/32 scale it might be even more interesting because you will have a lot of space for additional scratch building, and that's why I decided to take a closer look. As you can see, box art here is quite nice, and box size, I would say it's typical for 1/32 scale releases from Special Hobby. Here on the side we have a note that it's made in Czech Republic obviously, and on the opposite side you will find QR code with the kit info page and also some safety advices. So this is a top opening box. Here is what we have inside, and you can see, well, it's assembly manual on the top, but below we have all the parts packed into one plastic bag. So of course we will start with plastic parts, and then gradually we will move on to other components which are included here. I can see a lot of resin parts and also quite large decals sheet, only one as far as you can see, but let's not jump to it. Let's start with plastic. But what I can see, a lot of things will be actually upgraded with the resin, which is included here. But here we start with the first gray plastic sprue. I will open the lenses a bit so that you can see more, and let's zoom in. So these are the fuselage halves, and as you can see, they're molded together with the tail fin. Cowling, unfortunately, will have to be glued out of two halves, and here we have also cockpit floor. Panel lines, they are not that deep, so that's why you will have to pay attention with the paint layers and also primer layer. And if we flip it over here, inside we have some minor features for the cockpit. Again, I think you'll have to modify something here because as far as I remember, this is a single-seater version. Let's check it like this. At least it looks like. Maybe that's the new part. Maybe I'm wrong. We will see it in the assembly manual. Next we continue with the sprue E. So here we have more parts for the cockpit. It means these two pilot seats. Also we have instrument panels, and here various bulkheads, some parts for the landing gear, and everything looks fine in my opinion. So it's just a matter of careful installation of these parts onto the model, and I'm not sure if we will actually have the PE parts for the seat belts on the pilot seats, but again, we will see it further in the video. While here, for example, the sprue C, it features the instrument panel parts, another pilot seat, propeller hub, also we have the tail wings, as well as the elevators, which should be glued out of several parts, rudder, which should be also glued out of two parts. And note that there are no guiding elements whatsoever, so you'll have to be careful while joining all of this stuff together, because position will be of essence here. And of course you have to pay attention to the overall alignment of these parts. Next we continue with landing gear parts. So here we have also separate blades for the propeller, and note that each landing gear wheel, it should be glued out of two halves. Here we have guiding element in form of the raised tab inside the wheel, so it will make it easier to assemble everything together. And maybe CMK offers the resin wheel replacement. I do not remember. I think we actually have reviewed the wheels upgrade when the single-seater was out, so I recommend to check our YouTube channel. And next, the last gray plastic sprue here, it's a sprue B, and here we have wing parts. So if I zoom out, maybe close the lenses a bit, you can see what I'm talking about. We have wing mechanization molded in, which is rather, I would say, sad in 1/32 scale, because it would be better to have these elements separate. Also, the surface is a bit, I would say, no, this one, the top part is more smooth, while this one is not that smooth, so so I would rather give it a bit of sanding in order to smoothen all the surface. And note that the main wheels are pre-molded, but there is nothing much. And here, if you flip it over, inside there are not that many guiding pins, well, none of them to be precise, so that's why you have to be careful while joining these large parts together. And just to give you an idea of the wingspan, here is comparison with my hand, so it's quite large, so do not underestimate it. It might be a fighter aircraft in 1/32nd scale, but still it will take a considerable space, and that's why you have to pay attention, especially with wings. Next, we also have canopy parts, and here we have also quite surprising thing, because we have one-piece canopy. And this is something what I would not expect in 1/32nd scale. It means that you won't be able to open the cockpit, but at least molding quality looks really great, so you just need to source some masks or cut them by your own, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, so next we begin with this nice bag. As you can see, a lot of resin parts. I can see that they are used for the engine. For example, here we have cylinder blocks. So I will be placing parts one by one so that you can see what we'll have here. This is the rudder pedal link. So here you can see it's quite thin and tender part. I guess the resin is actually the preferred choice here because it will give you the necessary details. But again, do not forget that we cannot open the cockpit unless maybe you will cut through the canopy parts and separate the main section, who knows. Then in this case it might work. So here we have more cylinder heads, just to give you a top view of them. Also another pedal link. Okay, next we continue with, I guess these are exhaust parts for the engine. These are supplied on 2 resin bases. So here is another one. Next we continue with the gun barrels, and also you can see here a tiny radiator. So yes, gun barrels are given as resin parts, and they look really good because they're hollow inside, as you can see. So it's a welcome replacement in 1/32nd scale, because such features start to be visible in this size, and that's something you cannot skip. Next we continue with the, I will call it the main section of the engine. So this one is a single piece part where you have to install the separate cylinder heads, as you remember. So it looks quite good, and I think the overall design is quite straightforward, so you just need to install all these separate parts. Next we continue with the exhaust. So it comes as a single piece part here. And again, it looks quite interesting because, as you can see, this circular shape is already supplied as a single piece part. Next, we have one more engine, I guess, part. It will be used for some position, maybe. Next, we continue with the cowling. So, cowling is actually the top section of the cowling. As you can see, it is molded as a single piece part, quite large one. Maybe it is made in order to be able to expose the engine on your model, but there are more parts. So just give me a second. I can see more parts for the engine. So here we have more exhaust stacks or tubes for the exhaust. Next we continue with this air intake, which is quite thin, so note the thickness of the walls, and it will have to be a careful installation in order to avoid any accidental damage. And then we have this set of tiny parts. I guess they will be handy for the cockpit, but we will see in the assembly manual once we check all the necessary things. But it's really cool that all these parts are actually part of the standard package. You don't have to buy anything, you get them out of the box. Okay, so now I just need to clean up a bit because it's resin, so that's why we have a bit of resin dust left over. It's quite normal. Next we continue with the decals sheet. It is packed into the separate plastic bag, that's why we also get the PE threads there. So I'm going to take them out as well. Okay, so PE threads are absolutely identical in both cases. This is a 2-seater, so that's why we have them similar. And here we have seatbelt parts. Also we have some parts for the pilot seat, as far as you can see, some landing gear wheel wells. And next we have the decals sheet. This one, as I said, is not that big, but here we have all necessary symbols, as far as you can see, for several markings. So let's close the lenses a bit, and now you can see what I'm talking about. We have also decals for the instrument panel, but again, if you would like to have a proper cockpit, let's say, then it's better to resort for some aftermarket PE, which will provide you with some fine details in the cockpit. So here we continue with the assembly manual. Let's zoom out a bit. And it's a large color printed brochure. Here we have a short history note on the first page, then we have parts map. Note that some parts are not used, even resin parts are not used, some of them. Assembly process starts with this, actually, the rudder pedal linkage. Why I'm laughing? Because straight away you will be starting with the resin parts. So be ready for this. Of course, we continue with the cockpit floor, then we have the pilot seat assembly, instrument panel, and instrument panel will be enhanced with some additional parts. Next, we continue with adding more elements on the cockpit walls, and then we join everything between the fuselage halves. So here we have the small add for the wheels, resin wheels from CMK. I think, yeah, now you should be able to see. And here we have also sitting pilot figurine, so this might be also a cool addition. Next, we continue with engine assembly. So yes, as I said, this is actually exhaust stack, and then as you can see, the main exhaust tube, which was half round. And also you can see that this engine bonnet parts or engine cowling, they are used for one of the markings. Here we continue with the propeller assembly. We have also landing gear being built here. Then the engine cowling gets attached to the fuselage, so yes, the canopy will remain closed. And this is actually a two-seater fuselage, so you do not have to modify or cut anything. This is really good in my opinion. And yeah, that was the final step actually. Here we continue with first two marking options. So these ones are from 1941 and 1942. Here we have two more from 1944. And here we have one more from 1946 even. And then we have ads for other kits from the same brand. We reviewed them all, so you can find it easily on our YouTube channel. And here we have some accessories from CMK. So this kit is something what I would not call a shake and bake it kit. So I think it's something different where you have to work a bit, especially considering the presence of resin parts. But once you are able to work with this, I think you will get a really nice result with quite unusual aircraft here. So of course I will be happy to hear your opinion about this release. Do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.